Now, if you're going to kill it in transposition, you first need to watch this video, because in this video, we're going to talk about the requirements of transposition. But before we talk about the requirements of transposition, let's talk about what the concept is. What is transposition? Well, transposition, it comes from the word to transpose. And what are we transposing? We're transposing the formula, as in changing the subject of the formula to something else. All right? We also heard that it can also be referred to as changing the subject of the formula. And that is true, because when you hear changing the subject of the formula, we're actually changing one subject of the formula with something else being the subject of the formula. And why this video will help is because you need to know the requirements of this changing the subject of the formula, and this is what we're going to talk about. First requirement is to know that the subject of the formula must always be on the left hand side. Let's look at an example. So the first requirement, the subject must be on the left hand side. So we have x is equal to 2 pi r. So the subject here is x, it's on the left hand side. The second requirement is the subject of the formula must have a coefficient of 1. Now look at this here. The coefficient of the x is 1, or in other words, you can't see anything, and once we can't see a number or a coefficient in front of the variable, it is understood the coefficient is 1. Now the third requirement is this: the subject of the formula must also have a power of 1. So we are not seeing the power, and when we don't see the power of a coefficient, when 1 isn't there, it's understood the power is 1, and also it's understood that the coefficient is 1. And the fourth requirement I want to give you is that the subject of the formula must always be in the numerator form, meaning that it should never be a fraction. All right? So a fraction could be x divided by 2 is equal to 2 pi r. Now, this here is not a proper representation of the subject of the formula because it doesn't fit the requirement. This one does. And when we say the subject of the formula must be in the numerator form, any form that is not a fraction, in the sense of if we take out the denominator, whatever form remains is always called the numerator form. So if you see a number by itself, it's in the numerator form. If you see a variable by itself, it's in numerator form. And that's the theoretical part for transposition. Stay tuned for part 2, where we talk about the practical aspect of changing the subject of the formula. Let me know what you think in the comments.